What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the DFS Picks and Prediction Show. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, where me, Weezy, Monk, and Gordo break down the upcoming card from a DFS perspective and give our predictions on the fights as well. Be sure to leave a like here, subscribe to Pub Sports Radio so not miss out on all the other content throughout the week. And as always, guys, we're going to go back and forth throughout the panel members. We're going to give our fight to target, our fight to fade, fighter to fade, favorite dog, favorite GPP play, favorite cash play, favorite value play, favorite dart throw. We'll go over our lineups for last week, see how we did. We'll do our lineups for this week, give our quick picks, answer any questions, and then get out of here. Let us start with Monk. Monk, what is up? How you doing? You looking forward to the card?
Doing pretty well, thank you. Yeah, actually, kind of on paper, it almost seems like a subpar pay-per-view, kind of not a ton to look at. But if you kind of get into it, there are a few matchups that I'm really looking forward to in this one. Even the rematch of the main event seems pretty intriguing. So definitely a few on the main card that I'm for sure looking forward to. And my guy from Omaha, Anthony Smith, fighting this week. So let's go.
Let's go. Weezy, what is up? You looking forward to UFC 277?
Yeah, it should be a fun card. I'm looking forward to this main event. I think it's going to be a really fun fight. I think, I guess Bootsy likes Julianna Pena this week again. I'm on the other side, though. I'm going with the former champion, but it's going to be a really fun card from top to bottom. So I'm looking forward to kind of talking DFS here and finding the angles to make us be optimal this week.
Let's go. And it sounds like the dogs are barking for 277 as well. So definitely looking forward to it. Gordo, what is up? You looking forward to the card?
I'm looking forward to it so much. I accidentally just left the live stream. How we doing, boys? No, it looks like a fun card. It was, again, we have, I know a lot of people are hating on the main event, but you got to see a really big upset the first time, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again. A lot of very undervalued fight. I think there's some really high-level ones and also some very low-level ones. And what we can do with those low-level fights is we can find the DFS angles, we can find the betting angles, and I'm ready to do that with you guys. Ready to see your takes on some of these controversial fights, and ready to see how you guys break this one down.
Let's do it. Should be a fun time. You guys have not already, be sure to leave a like and then subscribe to Pub Sports Radio. I say we get right into it. And as always, we're going to start with the fight to target. I will kick this one off. And the fight that I like the most is going to be Sergei Pavlovich going against Derrick Lewis. The fight doesn't go to decision line, is minus 610. And I think it's pretty simple. I think somebody's getting knocked out here. And I think someone's getting knocked out here probably in the very first round. Pavlovich has 12 knockouts. All 12 of those knockouts do come in the very first round. Derrick Lewis has been finished 6 times by knockout. I am more on the Pavlovich side myself. Pavlovich is going to be huge. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. He's going to be 7 years younger. And I think Pavlovich does knock out Derrick Lewis, but you can never count out Derrick Lewis against anybody. He has a ton of power and he can put out anybody on any given night there. So I do like Pavlovich, but I am going to have a good share of Derrick Lewis. But yeah, I think somebody gets knocked out here and somebody gets knocked out pretty early. Gordo, what is your favorite fight to target for 277?
You know what? My favorite fight to target and the favorite fight I'm actually going to be having the most involvement with on Draftkings is going to be the Cosce versus Blood Diamond fight. I think this is a fight that really finishes one way or the other in my eyes. And I think we have a guy in Orion Cosce who's going to exploit the grappling weaknesses of someone like Blood Diamond. It's a really binary fight. The better striker is going to be Blood Diamond and the better grappler is going to be Orion Cosce. And you look at it from this point of view is the grappler going to grapple? That's always the question. And I do think that Orion Cosce is a guy who's going to implement that ground game. I think he's a guy who's going to go out there, shoot really early. I think they both have an opportunity to score very well. Both of their win conditions probably result in a finish win. And I think for that reason, it's going to be a fun fight and one that scores very, very well. I'm leaning towards a favorite with the grappling route in Orion Cosce, but the win condition for Blood Diamond at 7.4K also scores very well. I just want both sides of it.
I like it right there with you. Monk, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
I was going to go with that Cosce one, but just because I think they're both terrible and someone is not making it to the end of the fight. So I back up Gordo, even if it might be from a different angle. You got to target that one. Give me the main event. It's kind of an obvious one. Again, I don't think this one goes all 5 rounds. Peña and Nunes. Peña scoring 3.93 points a minute. For a women's bantamweight fighter, that's absolutely incredible. And Amanda Nunes is right there, 3.89 per minute. Nunes is putting up almost 112 in per UFC win. She's got 14 wins. Whoever wins this is going to finish it. I have no doubt in my mind. I just don't see this going 5 rounds. Peña has made the optimal lineup in both of her 2 previous fights. Her first one was against Sarah McMahon at 8,000. She scored 90 points. And then at 6,500, The lowest salary we've ever seen from DraftKings, and the only time it's ever been used was against Amanda Nunes, where she put up almost 110. So I just don't see how this one goes the distance. It's either going to be Nunes by KO or a repeat of what we saw last time. I think Peña probably gets her to the ground and wins by sub. I'm with Weezy, though. I like the Amanda Nunes side, but you are definitely, paying up 9,200. So Peña has some good value there, but I'll be focused on this main event as far as someone making the optimum.
There you go. I like it. And then Weezy, what is your favorite fight at target for this week?
Yeah, it's the main event as well. Both of these ladies average right around 3.9 DraftKings points per minute. This is a 25-minute fight. That's almost a 100-point pace in 25 minutes in a loss. So both ladies are high volume and have excellent grappling upside. The price is right for Nunes at only $9K. She's averaging 101.29 DraftKings points per fight. That includes the losses. And if Nunes gasses again, Peña at 7,000 is surely going to be optimal. So there's really no way to ignore this fight if you're multi-entering. But we just have to worry about 3 main events in a row can't be cursed, right? That's not allowed to happen. It couldn't. What could possibly go wrong, right? With having a fighter in the main event.
Does a hole just appear in the octagon this time, and somebody like a sinkhole, somebody gets dropped through, or what?
That's the only reason I wouldn't target the main event. But I mean, come on, it can't happen 3 times in a row. So let's get both sides of that fight and try to make some money.
Sounds good to me. Let's move on to our fight to fade. And this is a tricky one because I feel like we're all 4 going to have the same answer. But we'll start with you, Weezy. What is your fight to fade for this week?
Yeah, I'm going to actually go a different direction here and say Kim versus Edwards, because I know that none of you guys are going to be fading that fight. So let me give you the reasons to fade that fight so that none of you guys can actually follow me here. If your fighter received points for significant strike attempts that missed by a country mile and hit nothing but fresh air, Ji-Yeon Kim would be the Jonathan Pierce of the women's flyweight division. That is not the case, unfortunately. And since you don't receive points for swinging and missing everything but fresh air by a mile, then you should probably avoid this fight. Neither lady grapples at all. And it's by far the most likely to go to decision, according to the bookmakers, at an 80% implied probability. Neither of these ladies even averaged 3 DraftKings points per minute, so you're maybe looking at mid to low 70s in a decision win here. Easiest fight to fade on the slate by the amount that Kim's significant strike attempts miss by. I would like to fade Kim's haircut for the record as well. So I'm not getting anywhere near this fight.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Plus 255. Fight does a good decision there. Like you said, neither fighter is going to go for takedowns here. Not a ton of finish upside and a bunch of swinging and missing. So I mean, it's pretty clear to me that fight I'm not going to have a ton, if really any of. Gordo, what fight are you fading for this week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to piggyback too much, but that's really where it is. If I want to go a bit different, if I want to throw out some extra names just to be different, I'm going to fade a bit of the Drakkar Klose versus Garcia fight. I do think that one usually ends in a decision as well. Drakkar Klose is a guy who doesn't usually score very well unless you're fighting a guy called Brandon Jenkins. It's going to be a fight that I most likely see not too much volume. I think the advantage edge in the feet, especially later on, is going to go to Klose. I think he is probably the more likely winner of this fight. With that being said, at 9.1K, you're being surrounded by people who I think have a lot higher ceilings and a lot of more ability to score well. Therefore, not the guy I'm necessarily going up to and paying the most for. However, the fight to fade for me is also Kim versus Edwards.
Yep, sounds good to me. And then Monk, what fight are you fading this week?
I will definitely go different, and I'll give you the co-main event, Brandon Moreno and Kara France. I think this one probably goes to decision more often than not. Moreno scores less than 3 points a minute. Kara France just over 3 points a minute, but their points per win are very low, 91 for Moreno and 85 for Kara France. Obviously, if Kara France wins with 85, he will 11x his salary, so that is something we are looking forward to. And he has made the optimal lineup in 2 out of his past 3 fights. It would have been against Bontarine and Garbrandt, who he knocked him out both in the first round. I do not expect that against Brandon Moreno at all. So, like I said, I think this one goes to decision. Moreno has only put up over 100 in 2 of his 7 fights. France has put up in 4 of his 7, or I'm sorry, 3 of his 7. But I just think I think Moreno is better everywhere. And I do think this one probably goes to decision with a relatively low score. If Moreno scores even 90 points, he's barely 10xing his salary. So while I do like Moreno for cash, I will be fading. I will be under the field on both sides of this one as far as GPP tournaments go.
Okay, I like it. There you go. We'll move on to our fighter to fade. We'll start with you, Gordo. What fighter are you fading this week?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is another card where there is a lot of volatility and a lot of unknown fighters that I definitely don't know if I can get to as much. I know I just talked about the Jakar Close, which is also a guy I saw going decision, and he was someone I'm going to fade. But let's go a bit different. I'm going to be fading a bit of Ihor Potieria this weekend. And he's a guy who, where he does have a lot of finished ability, and I think that's where his win equity lies. I don't think I'm necessarily going to have as much as everybody else. I think he's going to accrue a lot of ownership with that fancy 20-2 record, but I think his win condition relies mostly in a finish and knocking off the head of Negumereanu. And I don't think that necessarily happens too much because of the brick that Nick has on his shoulders, and that usually absorbs a lot of damage. It seems to be fine. And if he's not going to go out there and score a knockout, I don't think he has grappling upside. I don't think he has the best cardio. It's just a guy with a lot of unknowns. And I do think that there are better people in that price range. So I'm kind of staying away from that fight because I do think Nick's tough enough to withstand the power of the fraudulent 20-2 fighter, but pretty much drag it on. But it's I'm going to have some ownership, but just not as much.
Yep, sounds good to me. And then Monk, what fighter are you fading this week?
Well, I'm sure half of the chat is going to kill me, but it's that kind of week, so I don't really give a crap, gosh darn it. I'm going to go with Alexandre Pantoja. I'm going to be under the field on him, 8,700. This guy barely puts up 3 points a minute, 92 when he wins. These are just, barely, not even top 10 numbers for the card, and that is just a high price for somebody that, I like the $8,600 fighter a bit better. I like a couple of guys in that area a bit more than that. When Pantoja wins by knockout or sub, he averages about 110 points, but that is, in 5 of his 8 wins, very respectable. But when he wins by decision, 64 points, 62 points. So I'm not looking forward to those numbers whatsoever. He does score very well, takedown and control time points per minute, over 0.8 points, but Perez gives up 0.16 point. He gives up the least amount of control time and takedown points per minute on the entire card. I know he just got absolutely smashed by Figueiredo in his last fight, which was over a year and a half ago. But Pantoja is no Figueiredo, I don't think. While I do have immense amounts of respect for him, he is not Davison Figueiredo. I like Perez in this dog spot here, so naturally I will be fading Pantoja, who only has a 67% takedown defense. Strength of schedule is good, but he did lose to, like I said, Figueiredo and Askar Askarov. Wins over Manel Kopp and Brandon Royval. In the Royval fight, he did sub him, scored 99 points in that one, but when he won over Manel Kopp, 3-round decision, 60 points in that one. So I think this one probably goes to decision if Perez does not win the fight before that. So I will be fading Pantoja here at $8,700.
And for me, I'm going to go with Jakar Close here, 9,100. I actually really like him to win. I like him in this matchup. Rafael Garcia, I think he's going to be competitive early on, mixing some takedowns here or there. But Garcia is taking the fight on short notice. I do expect Close to eventually stuff those takedowns, keep it on the feet, and just pick apart Rafael Garcia for 3 rounds. I know he did finish his last fight against Brandon Jenkins. This is a big step up in competition for that. I think Close does win a decision here. I don't see much takedown upside from him. And at 9,100, I'd rather go up and get a Dober, a Nunes, an Ankalaev, Morales. I just like those other fighters up in that range. So for me, I'm going to fade Jakar Close at 9,100. Weezy, who are you fading for this week?
Yeah, I thought it'd be different here, but I went with Ihor Potieria as well because since Nicolae's debut, where he lost to Safarov, he's had 3 straight wins, and 2 of those fights were close, and they went to decision. But even if Nicolae's opponents would have gotten the nod, they would have scored 68.4 points in a win and 74 points in a win. So it's not nearly good enough. Poteria's level of competition on the regional scene was god-awful. This is a huge step up for him. Add to that fact that Negumereanu, he's got a head like an Easter Island statue. It's probably going to take a baseball bat to KO this dude. I don't see really Potieria having much of a path to being optimal here at a favorite salary of $8,400. So I'm going to avoid him. I don't think anybody's finishing this Negumereanu guy. I mean, I think that's why his striking defense has been around 33% up until the last fight, is because you could throw just about anything and it's going to hit this guy's head because his head takes up the entire fucking octagon. So But I just don't see anyone knocking him out. So yeah, I think Potieria is a bad choice this week.
Yep, sounds good. I'm right there with you. Let us move on to our favorite dog here, and Weezy, will stick with you. Who are you liking as your favorite dog of the week?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a good floor option, in my opinion, in Moreno France. I love knowing that they've fought before. It went the full 3 rounds, and the stats had it as a close fight. I like France as a safe cash game play because he has a good choice of going the full 25 minutes here. And if he does that and manages to score his usual 3 DraftKings points a minute, that's 75 DraftKings points in a decision loss. Plus, France has crazy power. So there is some upside here if he can drop Moreno and find a way to get the referee to stop the fight. High floor, high ceiling underdog, only 7,300 on a week where you really need to find some salary savings in order to get some of those top tier fighters in there. I think it's a good option with a low floor.
Sounds good. I like it. For me, I'm going to go with Nicolae Negumereanu, 7,800. Just refreshing the lines here. It looks like Negumereanu has became the slight favorite on BetOnline, now minus 118. Ihor is minus 102, and I think that just continues to keep going there. I think people are looking into the matchup a little bit, seeing that Ihor has fought some of the worst competition you'll ever see, and I kind of think Ihor is like first round knockout or bust. And like you said, Weezy, it's going to be really hard to knock out Negumereanu without a shovel or a baseball bat, which you're not allowed to bring into the cage. So yeah, I like Negumereanu here. I think cardio's key here. I think he can mix in some wrestling. I like the durability, and I like the level of competition. So Negumereanu, 7,800. He's priced as a dog on DK, and I think he goes off as a slight favorite on the money line. Monk, how about you? Who are you liking as a dog for this week?
This is tough. I got 2 that I'm really interested in, so I'll just buckle down and pick one. I'm going to go with Rafa Garcia, and it is Rafa Garcia. I hate to be that guy, but he is from Mexico this week. Rafa Garcia, Rafael Alves. There you go. That's how we're doing it. So I'm picking Rafa, $7,100. 2 times he's made the optimal lineup in his past 4 fights. Obviously, that was against Natan Levy and Jesse Ronson. But as someone in the chat said, Drakkar Klose did get KO'd by a shove during weigh-in, so I'm not sure why anyone would be paying $9,100 for him outside of cash. I really just don't understand that. The upside for Garcia is fantastic. 3.6 points a minute, 5th on the card. 104 per win, 5th on the card. He's $950 under his average salary, in which he gets an average value of over 9.25. Fantastic numbers. When he wins by sub, 114. When he wins by decision, 93. So I'm loving these numbers here. He scores almost 2 points a minute in takedowns and control time, while Drakkar Klose gives up 0.69 points per minute in those 2 categories as well. So give me the huge upside at the extremely cheap Rafa Garcia for my favorite dog.
I like it. I know Sean likes it as well. Gordo, who are you liking as a dog this week?
Yeah, I'm going the complete opposite of Weezy, and I'm taking a guy who has no floor, really. We're taking a guy who in Rafael Alves. I know Monk kind of talked that he was someone he liked as well, but we're taking a guy in Alves because his ceiling is super high. And I know he's facing a guy like Dober who has the ability to go out there and just withstand a crazy amounts of damage. But when we look at the ceiling that Alves does possess here, especially in the ground game submission upside, I do think he goes out there and has a good chance of putting up a really high score. And we all touched on it this week. It's one where you need that salary saver in 7.2K. I mean, there's no one I think would be surprised if Alves goes out there, gets one of those patented guillotines and scores really high. And at 7.2K, that probably becomes optimal. I think that on the feet, sure, you have to be careful of the power because Alves has been finished multiple times and Dober's pretty strong. But those swinging hooks that Alves does have, that ground game ability does have, the ability to go out there and snatch something up, I think it's pretty good. We saw him lose his first decision last 2 fights ago. And of course, it wasn't that bad of a loss seeing how Demir has looked recently. But I do think he goes out there, has a decent chance to get that submission win. And I think he has a lot higher ceiling than a lot of people around him at that price tag.
Sounds good. I like it. Let us move on to our favorite GPP play here. And we will start with you, Monk. Who are you liking this week?
Well, you know me, DraftKings for some reason decided to give us another $9,500 salary this week when they could have just made him $94,000. But they like when we make money. So Michael Morales, man, $9,500. You got to play that salary, guys. It's even better stats than I gave you last week. So let's just say it again. $9,500 is now 54% optimal. 14 out of 26 times it's been in the cage. It's been optimal. 84.62% win rate, the best out of any salary. when it does win, it makes optimal 63, almost 64% of the time. This is by far the best salary you could possibly play. Make room for him. Put in Julianna Pena. Put in my guy, Anthony Smith. Do whatever it takes to get Michael Morales in your lineups. This is also a short notice fight against a guy that, has not proven anything at the UFC level. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Morales was supposed to fight Brahimaj. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's okay. So yeah, we have a short notice fight here. I don't see why you wouldn't play Morales. 6.77 points a minute in his first UFC fight. 117, almost 118 when he won. He's $1,300 more than he was in that last fight, but those numbers, prove it. Prove why he should be, and it's still worth it. So give me the 9,500 Michael Morales all day, baby.
Sounds good. I like it. For me, I'm going to go with Orion Cosce, 8,800. I think he has a ton of upside with the wrestling. Very good wrestler. Blood Diamond. I'm just not sold on the guy. He's 3-1. We know why he's in the UFC. He's buddies with Adesanya. If he wasn't buddies with Adesanya, he wouldn't be here. And I'm not completely, in love with Cosce. I don't think he's the best fighter in the world, but I do think he's a really good wrestler. I do think he'll have takedowns. He has really good ground and pound, some submissions on his record as well. And I think, I still question the ground game of Blood Diamond. So I think Cosce's live for a finish in this fight. He has a 100% finish rate. I really do like Cosce at 8,800. If he's not able to get the takedowns, or if Blood Diamond's able to stand up, and if this fight does get extended, I do have my concerns about the cardio and the striking, but I will go and try to get some of that wrestling upside and finish upside from Orion Cosce there. Gordo, who are you liking for GBP this week?
Yeah, I'll address the elephant in the room. And Dontel Mays is fighting a guy with a completely fraudulent record, and a guy who's coming in the UFC with a very questionable experience here. And it's one that at $8,500, I do think he has a decent ceiling and is a decent GBP play. Now, his opponent, 3-0, hasn't fought anybody, but does have that Olympic background. I think that the wrestling is there, but he's not a mixed martial artist, in my opinion. The huge size advantage is going to be on the May side. The striking advantage is going to be on his side. The power advantage, potentially even the grappling advantage. The one thing that you have to give Hamdi is the wrestling. However, we haven't seen him really pushed throughout multiple rounds, but I think May's going to be able to get up. It's just a really weird fight. 8.5K, I do think that first round finish is not off the table. I do think that Mays could go out there, use his reach, and jab him to death, or even use his cardio and finish him round 2 or 3. It's just such a weird fight. And at $8,500, although I do believe he's going to accrue a lot of ownership, I think he has a super high ceiling this week.
Yep, I like it. Weezy, who are you liking for GBP this week?
Well, I usually go with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week for the GPP play. That means Dontel Mays here. I expect him to get the job done inside the distance. The price is right. The value is there due to the line movement that's already happened. Mays has finished 3 of his 4 wins at the UFC level, and if you include the Dana White Contender Series fights, he scored over 112 points in all his finished wins. So this is a nice spot for Mays. Like Gordo said, this guy Abdelwahab has not fought anyone. I mean, it's a massive, massive step up in competition. These guys that that Mays has beaten, Ricardo Purcell, Mitchell Sipe. I think that those guys would probably body bag Abdelwahab. Even the footage that we do have on Abdelwahab is just not, it doesn't look good at all. So, I really do think Mays is in a fantastic spot here. And you got to have somebody like him in your lineup because he's only 8,500 here. He's way better than his opponent. When you go down to Pavlovich and Lewis, who somebody's getting knocked out there as well. But, it's kind of a coin flip there. And this one here, Mays is much bigger than this dude. I think Mays will probably be the one to get the takedown. To be honest with you, I don't care who wrestled in the Olympics. This guy is like a foot taller than Abdelwahab. He's going to be the way bigger man. So, yeah, Dontel Mays all day.
Sounds good. I like it. I'll be talking about him a little bit later. Let's go to our favorite cash game play, and I'll kick this one off. It's going to be Amanda Nunes, 9,200. We're kind of getting a discount here on Nunes. Typically we'd see her at 9,500, 9,600, but since Peña did pull off the upset this time or last time, she's only 9,200 here. I like the 5-round aspect of things. I like the takedown upside. I think she's very live for an early finish. Of course, I do have my concerns, and as should everybody. If this fight does get extended, we saw in the last fight, it was not a good look. She kind of her cardio fell off a cliff after that first round, and maybe that could be the case here. But yeah, I do expect Nunes to come in here and put up a better performance and potentially finish Peña and potentially do it early as well. So I like Nunes here, 9,200. And yeah, I like it as a cash play. Gordo, who you liking for cash this week?
Yeah, it's hard for me to overlook Michael Morales at 9.5K, and it's a pretty easy way out because he is the most expensive fighter on the slate. But I do think he goes out there and he does make pretty good work. I mean, he's got such a high ceiling, 23 years old. The guy's pretty good. $9,500. I mean, he went out there, had a pretty good, decent debut. I like the guy's skill set, and although I think Vujic may have some decent ability going forward, I mean, short notice, facing a guy like Morales who has seemed to be nothing but perfect pretty much with that 13-0 record, it's going to be tough for him to get much success. I think Morales has the good enough takedown defense, good enough power, good enough technical ability in the feet to win a decision here, or even knock him out later on. And I think he is also the minute winner to win that decision if needed. I think it's a spot that is a pretty easy, high floor, high upside guy. And even though he has a $9,500 price tag, I always love that Monk backs me up with the salary voodoo, but it is a spot that I'm liking him.
Yep, gotta love the salary voodoo there. Weezy, who are you liking as a cash game play?
Yeah, I'm with Nunes as well. I think she's just got a ton of ways to win this fight. This is her second time in a row fighting at 135 pounds, and now that she should have her cardio and her pacing issues figured out, she should be able to win this fight pretty much any way she wants. At 9,200, she's a bargain, especially in a 5-round fight. To think that the average score for her is over 100 points over the entire sample size, and you're getting her in a 5-round fight at 9,200. It seems pretty easy here. And yeah, I mean, this fight probably isn't going to take place exactly like the first one took place. You know, I think Amanda learned from the mistakes that she made, and she'll be ready this time around. So yeah, I think she's a pretty safe play at 9,200.
Monk, who are you liking for cash this week?
I'm going to go with Matthew Semelsberger. Guy's probably going to go way under the radar this week. I really like him. His numbers are fantastic. Top 5 numbers for the card. And at 8,600, he is a steal. 3.4 points a minute, 104.5 when he wins. That's over 4 UFC wins. On average value, third best on the card, 10.56. Just fantastic numbers. 3 out of his 4 wins, he's put up over 100. 2 of them, actually, he put up over 110, scores over 0.6 points a minute in takedowns and control time, which Draftkings, favors as far as scoring goes. It's great scores for those categories. The strength of schedule is better than Morono's, and he's really coming into his own. I did like, he's beaten, Martin Sano. What are you going to do about that one? But AJ Fletcher, Jason Witt, Carlton Minus, some decent wins, whereas Morono has beaten Reese McKee, Donald Cerrone, and that was 2021 Donald Cerrone, David Zawada, who I'm pretty sure might not be in the UFC anymore, and Mickey Gall. He took him to a decision. Not a great look there when you cost $9,500 and you're going to a decision with the 7-5 Mickey Gall. So I love the upside for Semelsberger here. I think he has a great shot at scoring triple digits in a decision, and a finish over Morono would just make me smile in my soul. So give me Matthew Semelsberger all day on this one.
Sounds good. All right, let's move on to our favorite value play. And Weezy, we'll start with you. Who are you liking for some value this week?
I think Orion Cosce is a ridiculous value at 8,800 this week. If this fight plays out the way the books think it's going to, I see Cosce racking up a ton of points here. We can count on this dude to wrestle. We can absolutely count on him to do that. And we know Blood Diamond isn't going to like that at all. Whether he gets the finish or it's a decision win for Orion, I think he scores really well here and easily pays off that $8,800 salary because, this is a guy who wrestles anyway, and he throws heat on the feet. But the fact that we could count on him to wrestle against somebody who's just, he's a friend of a friend. That's why he's here. And I mean, I don't even think this guy was a great kickboxer to begin with. So, I think this is Cosce all day here, and I think he probably easily scores 100 points.
Yep, I like it. Let's go to Gordo. Who are you liking for some value here?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the other side being a fade. I'm going to take Negumereanu at 7.8K. I think he does have a decent ability to go out there and reach a pretty high floor because he does have that brick for a head. And he has the ability to go out there and probably win the minutes and win later on in the fight too. He's going to have the control time against the fence if he wants to clinch up there. And he's facing a guy with a questionable experience so far. Let's just put it that way. So when you're facing a guy like that who hasn't really been dragged into deep waters, hasn't really been tested, it gives me a good feeling for a guy in Nick this week who has the ability to go out there, be gritty, test that cardio, push him against the fence, make him wrestle a bit. And although the power and speed may be there for Potieria early on, we saw Nick be able to withstand that damage and keep moving forward. So I do think you're getting a lot of value at 7.8K.
I like it. For me, I'm gonna go with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, and man, I think this could absolutely look like some value here at 8,500, especially considering, man, this money's been pouring in on Dontel Mays. He's now minus 190. I said on Stat Diggers on Sunday that I think he closes like minus 250. People are catching on. People are watching the tape. People are seeing that Hamdi Abdul Wahab is no good at all. So yeah, Mays, although I'm not high on Mays at all myself, man, Mays should run through this guy. Mays purple belt in BJJ. I think he's has the better ground game. I think he has the better cardio. He's much bigger. I think he's the much better striker. I think he has him covered everywhere outside of pure wrestling. So I think, Hamdi coming in here on short notice, I think he's really going to struggle with the size, and I think he's lying about his height as well. He's not 6'2", he's not 6'3". I think he's more like 5'10", and we'll definitely see that at weigh-ins. But I like Mays here, 8,500. I think he goes out here and puts up a very, very high score at that price tag. And then who did I miss? I think we're Monk, right?
Which one was this? Value?
The value, yes, sir.
Oh yeah, then I will go with Alex Perez. This was the guy I was gonna play for my dog that I couldn't decide between. So let me give him to you in the value side. 7,500. I think he's gonna be a bit low owned because Pantoja is no joke, but I do like the Perez side here. 4.76 points per minute, second highest on the card. 106.82 when he wins. This is over 6 UFC wins. He only gives up 1.72 a minute. He's $1,000 under his average, in which he has an average value of 9.63. He scores 128 when he wins by KO, 100 when he wins by sub, over 91 when he wins by decision. 5 of 6 wins over 90, 3 of them over 100. There is so much upside here. 1.74 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Pantoja is allowing what is this? 1.15 points a minute in those two categories is what he is allowing. Takedown defense of 68. Like I said, Perez, everybody's kind of fading him a little because it has been over a year and a half since he fought, and he did get smashed by Davison Figueiredo. But before that, he KO'd Formiga in the first round, subbed Espinoza in the first round. I think he's got a great shot here against Pantoja. I think he's going to be fairly low owned, and the DraftKings upside alone is where all of the value reigns. So I will have my fair share well over the field of Alex Perez, also the 6th best power index on the card, and this is at flyweight, so he's out here knocking people down. Give me Perez for one of the best values on the card.
All right, sounds good. And then we'll go to our dart throw here. I think there's a couple that do stick out. We'll stick with you, Monk. Who are you liking for a dart throw this week?
Well, other than I have both Blood Diamond and Cosce in my dart throw categories this week, so we will go different, and I'll give you my guy. Where is he? Come on now. Anthony Smith, 6,800. If he does what he says, I know it's what he says he's going to do, whatever. He's going to come in and set the octagon on fire. I absolutely love it. He says he's in the best shape of his life. He says he's more powerful than he's ever been. And obviously we're taking this guy as his own word, but nothing in me says that Anthony Smith is a liar. So I believe him. He's coming in $1,136 under his average salary. If he looks good after round 1 against Ankalaev, every person that played DraftKings is going to be wishing that they had him in their lineups at 6,800. Even if he loses, he could still put up, 30, 40 points at 6,800. That's not bad for cash. But if he wins, and I hate using this term slate breaker, but that's exactly what would happen if he wins early over Ankalaev. I don't necessarily expect that, but I am rooting for it in my heart of hearts here. He does score decently well. 6 out of 11 wins over 94, 5 of them over 100. So I think it's a great dart throw. We're getting Anthony Smith at 6,800. I'll gladly put him in my dart throw category because if that does happen, it's going to ruin a bunch of people's lineups.
Absolutely. Weezy, who is your dart throw for this week?
Anthony Smith. Let's go, Smitty. Everyone's counting Smitty out, but if he puts Magomed in even one bad spot, he could get a finish here. Smith has finished 33 of 36 pro wins inside the distance. And we saw Magomed Ankalaev panic the only time we ever saw him in trouble in the UFC. I don't know how you say don't tap in Russian, but when he tapped to that triangle with less than a half second left in the fight, he was in his corner. And his corner was screaming at him. He just panicked. It's clear that this guy doesn't really know what to do if anybody ever gets the better of him. And that's exactly what happened. He showed weakness the one time that he was in any trouble thus far in the UFC. And then if you go back through the wins, you're like, wait, has this guy really beaten anybody yet? Thiago Santos is the best win. And dude, we haven't seen Thiago Santos look good before the knee injuries. I mean, the last time he even looked decent in the cage was against the guy that you youngsters won't remember, somebody named John Jones, because he hasn't fought in 14 years. But that was the last time that we actually saw Santos win some minutes in a cage and actually show a little bit of danger in his strikes. And he blew out both of his knees. He's had them both replaced. He hasn't done his fights have been really, really, very slow paced since then. So if you go back through the wins, this is a big step up for Magomed Ankalaev to fight Anthony Smith here. Smith's been in there with everybody, you guys, and he's not afraid of anybody. So at only 6,800, it frees up a ton of salary, and Anthony Smith is a finisher, and we don't know that Magomed Ankalaev handles bad spots well. So I got to go with Smitty here as a dart throw.
Sounds good. For me, there's a couple that stick out. Anthony Smith, one of them. Peña is one of them. I think I'm going to go with Rafael Alves here. Monk. Rafael Alves. There you go. He is very dangerous. I think he's going to be very dangerous early on. Like if he wins, I see it being in the very first round. Dober has a very good chin, but he did get dropped in his last fight against McKinney, is willing to eat shots, and Alves does have a ton of power there. If Alves does choose to go the wrestling route and get this fight down to the mat, Drew Dober's been submitted like 4 or 5 times as well. So, I think Alves is very live early on. If he does win 7,200, I see it being in the very first round. So I don't mind some dart throws on Alves at that price tag. And then I think Gordo's left. Who are you liking for a dart throw?
Yeah, usually I sit here and for my dart throw, I pick a guy who's going to be very, very low owned, a guy who has really good upside. And for me, the dart throw is going to be Hamdi this week, 7.7K. He's a guy that, of course, for very good reason, no one's really going to be on him. He's very unproven. He's a guy I don't have many good things to say about him. But what I'm going to say is he's going to have very low ownership. His win condition requires a lot of takedowns, control time, and honestly a decent Draftkings score. And his other win condition would be probably a pretty lucky hook KO knockout. But that being said, how often does it happen? Not very high, but that's why it's called a dart throw. That's why it's very risky. The real dart throw, the real play I'm really going for is I have one rule when it comes to MMA betting, and it's never bet against Derrick Lewis. And although that is really tempting this week, I think that I'm going to have some Derrick Lewis, man. He always finds a way to pull it from out of his ass or out of his sweaty pants or whatever and do really well. So I'll have some of Derrick Lewis as well for his very obvious win condition.
Sounds good. I think Derrick Lewis is always the ultimate dart throw. He's live against anybody. Let us move on to our lineups for last week, and we'll touch on our lineups this week. If you guys have any questions in the chat, be sure to type them in, and we will get to them before we get out of here. But so last week we have the scores right here. All right, and in 4th place was Gordo. Mason Jones, 28. Mark DeCasey, 112. Volkan Oezdemir, 80. Aspinall, 1. Americani, 22. And Kyle Nelson, 24 for 269 DraftKings points. In 3rd place was Monk.
It's a me.
Yeah, it's Monk with Makayev, 119. Jones, 28. Jonathan Pierce, 145. Aspinall, 1. Silva, 44. And Hannah Goldie, 5. As far as Weezy, 2nd place, Mason Jones, 28. Pimblett, 87. Pierce 145, Aspinall 1, Leonardo 77, and Johnson 17. And me in 1st place, the only one without Tom Aspinall, luckily there. Diakasey 112, Jai Herbert 64, Pimblett 87, Leonardo 77, Paul Craig 15, and Macwan with 22 for a grand total of 379. We will go over the scores as a whole, and we have in 4th place is Monk with a 9,981. Third place is Weezy, 10,130. 2nd place is me with 10,590. And 1st place is Gordo with 10,937. I'm 346 behind Gordo. Weezy is 807 behind Gordo. And then Monk is 956 behind Gordo. Gordo, you're still in 1st, but I'm catching up a little bit.
Man, I was traveling last week. I don't want to say any excuses, but be careful. I'm looking to make that lead even bigger this week.
Yep, there you go. And I was looking at your other message about the Maze sub plus 2,200 on FanDuel Sportsbook. I might have to take a shot
Maze
at that.
Submission? Did you say Maze submission plus 2,200?
Yep, the purple belt. So maybe he's going to put that purple belt to use against the tired Hamby. You never know.
Guys, he almost humped a guy to death in his last fight. He can do anything.
Yeah, I thought he was going to tap just from that, man. So
I would.
You never know.
Talk about Patty's over here talking about the first teabag. We saw that shit in the octagon a year ago. That was the harshest teabag I've ever seen.
It really was. All right. So what do we got now? We have our lineups for this week, and I will let you go first. Monk, what do you got?
Whoops, DraftKings lineup, not picks. As I frantically search for my tab, here we go. Obviously, Michael Morales, Drew Dober, Matthew Semelsberger, Sergei Pavlovich, Alex Perez, and my guy, 402 stand-up, Anthony Lionheart Smith.
There you go. Weezy, what do you got?
I'm going with Michael Morales up top, Amanda Nunes, Orion Cosce, Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Dante Mays, Rafa Garcia, and Anthony Lionheart Smith. It was his birthday yesterday. And if you put him in your lineup, it's going to be your birthday on Saturday when you're stacking all that money.
Wow, we almost had the same lineup there. Gordo, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't have the same balls as you guys to take Anthony Smith, but I'm definitely cheering for him. Let's go Morales up top, Rafael Alves, Orion Cosce, Dontel Mays, Negumereanu, and this is the last one. I can either break my rule or I'm just going to stick with my heart and take Derrick Lewis as my last one.
Okay. For me, I'm going to go with Rafa Garcia, Kaikar France, Dontel Mays, Morales, Nunes, and Pavlovich there. All right. I don't see any questions in the chat. I'll scroll up, but while we do, let's give our quick picks here. We'll start with you, Monk. What are your quick picks for UFC 277?
CM Monk going from bottom to top is picking Orion Cosce, Ihor Potieria. I don't know why, but he's picking that one. Jocelyn Edwards, Michael Morales, Rafa Garcia, Dontel Mays, Drew Dober, Matthew Semelsberger, Magomed Ankalaev, boo, Alex Perez, Sergei Pavlovich, Brandon Moreno, and Amanda Nunes.
Sounds good for me. I'm going to go with Nunes. I'm going to go with Kaikar France. I'm going to go with Sergei Pavlovich, Ankalaev, Pantoja, Drew Dober, Morono, Dontel Mays, Morales, Close, Negumereanu, Edwards, and then Cosce. Weezy, what are your quick picks for this week?
I'm going with Amanda Nunes, Brandon Moreno, Derrick the Black Beast Lewis, Pantoja, Ankalaev, Morono, Dober, Mays, Drakkar Close, Michael Morales. I'm going to pick Missing Fist, Ji-Yeon Kim, to get the win here, get the job done. I'm going with the man with the head like an Easter Island statue, Nick Negumereanu. That dude, if you haven't seen his, you're going to be hypnotized by the size of that dude's head. It's amazing. And then I'm going with Orion Cosce.
Sounds good. And then, Gordo, what are your quick picks for this week?
Yeah, well, we're going to take Amanda Nunes up top, Brandon Moreno, Derrick Lewis, Pantoja, Ankalaev, Semelsberger, Alves, Mays, Close, Morales, Kim, Negumereanu, and Cosce.
Sounds good. And we do have a question here for Monk. Boston Nick saying, I have a question. What products does Monk use for that gangster beard?
Shit, I got a Walmart hair dryer. And check out, we're not doing. I'll send you the link to some beard oil in the comments here. We're not sponsored by this company, so I can't just name them. All right, but you got to use some decent beard oil. Okay, that's it. And just love.
Okay, I like it. There you go. And then Boston Nick saying the most handsome girl on the card. I mean, it's clearly Ji-Yeon Kim, but we got to get a second opinion. Weezy, who is the most handsome girl on the card?
Boy, I mean, are you going to get any more handsome than Ji-Yeon Kim? No, you're not. No, the Patty Pimblett haircut, the vacant stare. How could you? How could you say anybody but Ji-Yeon Fire Fist Kim? Let's go.
Yeah, I don't think there's a close second. But, yeah, guys, we did. I'm going to kick it around. We'll start with you, Monk. Monk, what do you have going on for the rest of the week, and where can everybody find you?
The vacant look just absolutely killed me. You can check out my YouTube channel at Monkmatics. I just put out Game Theory, where I break down all 13 fights from a DFS, very stat heavy perspective. You can check out the MMA Engine, where Salary Voodoo is out, where I picked 3 fights that kind of adheres to GPP lineup construction, so a different look there. Other than that, guys, I'll be watching the fights. Check me out on Sunday morning in between probably about 10:30. I'm going to try to keep it pretty steady. 10:30 for the morning after, where I do a recap show of whatever event was this past weekend. This week, 277, we go over CM Monk's picks, his bets, and the DraftKings optimal lineup from the night before. So do not miss that. Thank you guys very much.
There you go. Weezy, let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the rest of the week.
Yeah, tonight you can find me at midnight Eastern time on the Couch Warriors channel. We're going to be breaking down UFC, this entire UFC card with myself, Couch Warrior, Addicted to Combat, and Wiz Bets. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, Uncle Weezy. I'll be dropping a greasy 4-leg parlay either later on tonight or tomorrow once all the props come out on all these sites. And then you can also find me on the MMA Engine YouTube channel every Monday night for the main event breakdown, every Monday night for probability. And then, right here on Pub Sports Radio, Stat Diggers, DFS show, the watch along with Boston Nick and the boys this weekend. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for this main event card. I can't wait for it.
Let's do it. And then, Gordo, how about you? Where can they find you? What do you have going on?
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you guys have any question or anything like that, at GamblesGordo on Twitter, that is where I'm at. But in terms of my content, at Plays and Fade Sports on YouTube, I'm trying to edit my video and watch tape for the next Dana White Contender Series at the same time. So hopefully that video is out tonight, maybe tomorrow night if I'm lucky, because I'm trying to get that out as soon as possible. Best bets on the Current MMA YouTube channel. And then I'm going to be going on Eric Betts Fights, big money bets tomorrow night. Looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. And then maybe a live stream with Liam, who knows? But of course, everything you can find from me at Gordo Gambles on Twitter or Plays and Fade Sports on YouTube.
Sounds good. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS for the numbers tonight. I'll be on the Chronic Combat Conversations channel at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Got a live stream Friday after the weigh-ins at 7, and then best bet 1 hour or 2 hours prior to the prelims for 277 with Weezy, Narco Cop, and Eric Betts fight. So check that out. Best of luck for UFC 277, guys. Let us make some money on this